Yeah, I wanted to make a quick video on discussing America and things that actually make America great. This is a great country and it's very unique. When you look at other countries around the world, no other country really has the mix of all the different elements that we have here in the United States of America. And there's a lot of things that I think about that make this country great and make it enjoyable for me. So I'm just going to talk about these things and hopefully you'll agree. Sir, one thing that makes America great is the different groups that we have here, the uh, large number of different ethnic, religious, uh, racial communities that we have here. The reason why that is great is because there's no one way to be an American, and you have people from all over the world that have come here and have formed communities. Everyone, anyone from a new immigrant or an old, has communities of people in the millions that look exactly like them and are firmly a part of the American cultural landscape. Uh, all groups have played a role, and groups have had deep roots here. European Americans, African Americans, Latino Americans, Asian Americans. People have roots going hundreds, 100 years, 100, 200 years, 300 years. Native Americans, I guess, thousands of years. So the roots here are very deep. Some groups deeper, much deeper than the country has actually been around. Um, so I mean, this is home, and it's this country has shaped the culture of a lot of groups. But when new people come here, they can also kind of blend in with these existing groups that have been here for a very long time, and integrate with those groups. And they don't look or feel out of place. I mean, the American experiment has like included so many different people that I mean it's almost like America can be anyone's home, or United States of America, I should say, because the Americas is bigger than this one nation. A lot of people outside of the United States don't like that we kind of own the term America. There's North America, South America. We're all Americans, like Europe or Asia. I mean, it's not just one country that can claim the entire continent. But for sake of conversation, throughout this, I'm probably going to say Americans just to mean people from the United States. Um, also, another thing that's really good about this is I don't think a lot of people talk about this is the different types of climates that we have here, from Alaska to like Florida and including Hawaii. I mean, we have so many different type of climates here. I mean, many people in a lot of areas of the world, to experience a different climate, you have to leave your national borders. The nation itself is going to be dominated by like one climate zone, and there may not be any snow in your country ever. Uh, you may live out of the tropics, so there's nothing that's anywhere close to a tropical environment within your borders outside of a greenhouse. But in the United States, I mean, not only is it in some places it's only really obscure regions that have like a different climate. You may have to go to the top of the mountain to experience cold climate. But here, I mean, you can live in major cities in that exist in all these different climate zones, from like polar to tropical, so like Mediterranean type climates, to like a rainy, like uh, I guess like a British type climate in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, so there's all these different type of climate zones that you can exist and still be within the United States, still in a sense be home. You know, because it's such a massive country. I don't know if any other countries have it in the extent. And not only these different climate zones, they also carry it. They also over a huge area and contain millions of people. So they're not like little regions that are insignificant to the natural culture. I think the only other country that might be like that is China. Um, Russia is really big, but it seems to be dominated by a snowy climate, and that's basically it. The same thing with Canada. So they're bigger, but in size. But I think we have more diversity in climate here, um, in climate zones. Uh, Also, because of the size of this country, uh, over 300 million people, and the large size of our economy, there's a lot more opportunity here. I don't know if we still have the biggest economy in the world right now. It might be China, but we have a higher standard of living. So uh, I would still think that there's more for the individual. There's more opportunity in the United States than in China for the individual. There are smaller nations that I guess their citizens have a higher standard of living, but often these nations are really small. They might be 10 million people or something like that. Um, if you compare the top 10 million in the United States and compared it to those countries, they'll be that top 10 million would live a lot better than the entire country of. If you compare that number, I guess that may not be the fairest comparison, but I mean it's kind of unfair to compare a small country to the entire United States of 300 million people. You might want to, maybe a more fair comparison would be like the richest of our 50 states against one of those small nations, maybe in Europe or in the Middle East, like Qatar or something. So yeah, there are individual nations that have higher standards of living, but they're also very small, and probably the standard of living in the richest of our 50 states is probably going to be equal or higher in most cases outside of those petrol rich states like I don't know Qatar. So that's about it. I mean, so the size of our economy creates a immense amount of opportunity. Our cultural diversity, where anyone can have a place here in America. Another thing about that cultural diversity is I forgot to mention this. Is there's a lot more open mobility for minorities, despite all the problems that we have here. There are a lot of examples of ethnic minorities here reaching high levels in politics and entertainment and business and just becoming popular personalities where that doesn't really exist in other countries where the minority groups are kind of are very marginalized. Even in rich countries overseas, they're marginalized or invisible. They don't really play a role in politics. They don't really play a role in national life to the extent that we do here. And not to say that America is perfect. There's a ton of problems, but the upward mobility of ethnic minorities, to the extent that we allow it here, a lot of countries who have even countries that may have overall higher standards of living could learn a lot about that. Um, it just doesn't exist here. I guess it's just one of the factors of our country that allows that to happen, where it doesn't allow it to happen in other places. So yeah, so the diversity of the country, also the climate zones, being able to find a climate that suits you without having to leave your national borders. So yeah, all those things added together, and I just freestyled this video. I do freestyle on most of my videos. It's not scripted. It's just me talking to a camera. So those are some of the three things that really stand out to me. If I can think of some more, I might add them to another video.